Hey friends, I'm back with another episode in the Truth About series, and today I want to talk to you about the nature of God. And I'm going to do my best here. I have prayed obviously over what I'm going to say and how to say it, and my sweet baby girl just prayed over me before I came to record this and said the sweetest prayer. And so I just know that God has covered me and equipped me to be able to talk about this. However, sometimes whenever I'm, doing this podcast, I think about things, and I know that I'm an educated person. I know that I'm very smart. I know that I'm usually well articulated. But when it comes to the Bible, I just take such great caution in putting my opinion on anything that has to do with the Bible, and because I don't want to venture too far away from God's word into my own opinions, and I also don't want to steer anyone in the wrong direction when it comes to beliefs or the way they think, or, I want this to be for God and of God and to uplift people and to encourage people. And so I'm just always very cautious about what I say and how I say it. When talking about the nature of God, I am, I guess, wanting to elaborate on the fact that sometimes the situations that God allows in our lives don't look good. And because of that, some people don't believe in God, and or they stay mad at God about the things that don't go well in their lives, or about, situations that are out of their control that have come about that are hard to handle. And so I just kind of want to get a little bit into that. I'm not going to pretend to know why tragedy or traumatic situations strike some people and some families and not others. I am not going to pretend to understand all the intricate details and reasons why all the things in our lives happen. And I know that some people have been through a lot. They've been through deep trauma, deep losses, deep abuses, deep addictions, deep holes. People have been through some deep things. And sometimes, I don't know, some of those things I feel like besides loss and stuff that, can feel like, well, those are kind of still choices people make. Like loss is not, whenever people lose someone, that's a lot. When you lose a job that your family was depending on, that's a lot. When you lose your health, that's a lot. And in those moments, it can be really overwhelming and easy to start start questioning, why God, why me, why am I in this situation, why is this happening to me? I prayed that this wouldn't happen, or I prayed that this would get better and it's not happening. And I just sometimes we're not able to understand that. And I'm not gonna pretend like I can help you understand that on a very personal level, but what I can help you understand is the bigger picture and why God allows some of those things in our life. I was watching a movie with my kiddos the other day. It was the new David movie, and I'm sure there's lots of opinions about that. However, I thought it was a pretty decent movie for kids. The part that struck me was when David goes up against Goliath, and Goliath is laughing at him and saying, "Ha ha, you don't even have a weapon." And David is saying, "You can have your weapons or whatever, but I come against you in the name of God and in the power of God." And Goliath mocks him, obviously, but then instantly David throws a stone and kills Goliath. And that just struck me because how many of us would be that brave? How many of us facing a giant that big in our lives would be that brave to say, you know what, whatever, literally come at me however you want, but I'm coming at you with the authority and the power of God. And to truly believe that and to walk in that authority is big. That's huge. You would really have to believe it to be facing a giant that was so much bigger than you with the weapons that were able to take you out, and to know that all you had was your faith in a slingshot, and then I've often heard that, God didn't keep David from the lion's den, or he didn't keep Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego away from the fire. Rather, he was in those places with them. He was in the lion's den with Daniel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. Those lions were hungry. There was no reason they should not have torn Daniel to shreds except for the very fact that the presence of God was in that den with him. Obviously, we hear about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego literally thrown in a fiery furnace. They said that people were melting trying to throw these boys into the fire because that's how hot it was as they approached the furnace. And these boys still had to go in there. I can't even fathom the thought of being led to what I'm sure is my death and a fiery hot furnace one at that. Like, that is just overwhelming to even like actually consider, like, and we're upset about some of these small minor inconveniences that we're dealing with in life. And I think it's hard for us to grasp sometimes that these aren't necessarily punishments from God as much as they are things that he's just allowed in our lives. I think about Job a lot, and Job was tested beyond what I ever want to be tested. But when we hear the story of Job, we also hear that God was allowing that because he knew that Job would be faithful. He knew how much Job loved him, and Job proved it. I mean, he really did. And I think about that in my own life every time I'm going through something. Like, is this one of those moments where the devil has tried to lay claim over my life and what I am trying to do? And God has said, go ahead, try it. I know she'll stay faithful. I know that she loves me enough. I know that she knows who I am and she can hear my voice. And that is what keeps me going. And that is what keeps me strong, because I don't want to let God down, and not in the kind of way where I think like I can be good enough to never let God down, but in the kind of way that if that were a test, I would not want the devil to think that he had one up on God. I would not want him to think that he had the upper hand over my heart and over my obedience and over me at all. I would love to be able to prove my love for God through my obedience and my actions and things that I do day to day in the way that I live my life. Like I said, not because I think I'm good enough to impress God, but because God is a father. He is a loving father. Okay, so I have children. I have a lot of children. And I know that they spend a good portion of their time trying to make me happy, and that they love to make me proud, and that they love to show me new things that they have learned, and that they love to get encouragement from me when they're upset, and they love to get, just all the things. God is literally our father and loves us so much. Like, he does care about the little things. If you think you love your child any amount, then I'm certain you care about your child's first day at school, that you cared about their first steps, and that you cared about their first word, and that you care about every other day in their life, that you want them to be safe, that you want them to make good choices, that you want them to be surrounded by people that love and support them, that encourage them to do their best and to be their best, and that you want nice things for them. You want them to have a good house. You want them to have a good car. You want them to have good clothes. You want them to have good things. You just do. At least I do. I don't know. Most parents I know would want their children to have all the good things in life, and they would want to be there for every major moment and even all the little ones too. And that they would love to teach their child all kinds of new things, and that they would love to be there for so many of their child's first experiences. And like, it's the same for God. He literally loves you so much. He wants to be there for all of that. He wants to watch you experience new things. He wants to be the person that you run up and give a hug to, that you call and tell about your day, and that you want to spend time with. And I guess I get that, like, maybe at a certain point, kids don't want to spend all their time with their parents, but when they're little, they do. They really do. And what a blessing those years are. I think for God that that never goes away, that He always lives with those feelings that we're in our, formative years where we're learning and experiencing all these things, because to Him we are, no matter how old we are, we're nothing compared to an omniscient God. And so I don't know. He really does love us so much. And He is looking over us like a proud parent. And so I do want to do my best to make Him proud. I know that I can mess up and fall down and all the things, and that He'll still love me and that He'll have grace for me just the way I do my own children, and even more so than I do my own children. But at the end of the day, I can't help but want to be a good kid for God. And I wish that more of us had that mentality, that it's not about following a set of rules perfectly or like doing everything good enough or anything like that, but it's just about being good, just trying your best. Not being your best, but trying your best. And I don't know, I just always want that for my kids, for them to try their best, to be their best. And even if they fall short, I know that I love them unconditionally and that I'm here for them and that I'll continue to encourage them and love them all the days of their life. But I'll know the difference. I'll know that they could have achieved more, that they could have done things differently when the end of time comes around. And so I just want to, I guess, encourage you that it's the same for God, that He really does love us enough that He wants us to have all of the good things. He's not afraid to give us good things. He has good intentions for our life. He has the best of intentions for our life. Some of what God has for us, though, isn't here on earth at all. It's set up in a heavenly place where we're not going to know about it until we get our inheritance. And that also goes back into the nature of God and like Him being such a loving parent. I can't even tell you how many people out here in the world have probably not until their parents passed away realized how hard their parents worked to give them a good life and to give them some kind of inheritance. And here's the thing. God isn't going to die, but there's going to come a point in time where we might, or He might come back, and He has an inheritance for us that's so amazing and so wonderful, and something that He has been preparing since the beginning of time with you in mind. And so, I don't know, friends, it may be rough here. I get it. It's been rough for me too. But the nature of God is good, and He does love us, and He does care about us. And so I hope you will dig deeper into your relationship with Him. And if you have really hard questions or things that you don't understand, ask Him. Ask Him for the wisdom to understand, or ask Him for the peace to be able to get through it. Ask Him for what you need. Tell Him what you need. Tell Him you're overwhelmed. Tell Him it hurts. Tell Him how bad it hurts. And all of those things, I'm thinking about are those things are really just growing your relationship with God. Like I stated before, sometimes God lets us go through hard things, but He's always right there with us. He doesn't leave us. He will never forsake us. His thoughts towards us are good. So I'll be praying for you all. You'll be praying for me too. Stay blessed.